Alright. Should be live, so hi second channel, if I actually remember to post this there. I don't remember when the last time I streamed was. Pretty tired tonight. Might only be a short one, but let's see how it goes. Was pretty tired tonight. Let me just share this on the socials and then we'll get into it. Live streaming now. Just put it on the Discord. So I'm just reading something. These guys will come from. All right. Sorry, I was just reading something there. Well, yeah, we'll get into it. So yeah, today I just wanted a quick one. I was thinking about making this into a video, but I don't think there's enough in it for a video, so I thought I'd just talk about it in a stream. And then I want to talk about this one really bad Twitter take, basically saying you can't have films under communism. Basically you need a profit incentive to make movies. But yeah, I want to talk about that. And then one person just talking about like, oh, we wouldn't have Marvel movies under communism. I'm like, good. That was the biggest motivator to get communism in the Marvel movies. And Cuomo is gone. How's that for anti-Italian discrimination? Hey Hectic Hex, congrats on the 40k, thanks so much. Poggers. Not gonna lie, I don't know what Poggers means, even though I've seen it a million times and it has that stupid face. I know it's a stream thing though. But yeah, thanks a lot. Getting to 40k was cool. The videos since then haven't done so well, but I've got a good one coming out tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with that. Revisiting my fave, JP. Jordan Peterson. Sorry, people are mad at my Twilight video. So basically people were saying, like, I knew they'd say it was because it's Twilight, it doesn't matter, but like the wider point is about the perception and depiction of native peoples. Right. Sorry, we're in the chat. Hi Katie, thanks so much. I guess we're talking about the 40k. I'm not, yeah, it feels good to get to finally. Obviously it helped because my Grimes and Jontron videos blew up. Can you guys hear me all right? And then, maybe if I turn it up a bit. And I'm watching the video right now. I had no idea about this, very sweet. I was talking about the trans rights one. Dinaka Ganta saying, the Halo community is one of the most annoying communities to exist in. And I'm a person who regularly plays Halo. Yeah, I like Halo. Like, one of my first like real favourite games when I was a kid. I played Halo 2 first when I was like 9, probably a bit too mature because the Flood are pretty disturbing for a kid. Oh my god, cannot wait to watch the Twilight video because that's a massive issue. Anyway, fuck Twilight. Yeah, the thing is, with the Twilight video, which is what was annoying in my research, which I probably should have found somewhere, is I didn't realise the author was Mormon. And obviously Mormons have this like really like problematic view of Native Americans, like being central to like the Bible and shit like that. So no, the Halo announcer isn't Steve Downs, I'm pretty sure. Hi Cav, hey Spooky Kitty. Thoughts on just some guy that anti-SJW? I've never heard of that. Sorry, Diego. But yeah, the Twilight stuff. Like I was just replying to some comment. That's why I was quiet. Some guy was saying, "Do you people have nothing better to do? If you don't like the films being made, you have options. Don't go and see it. Make your own on a combination of the two, but really save your angst and Karen-like tendencies for topics that actually matter." And I was replied, "The dehumanization of Native people in media is important to call out." And the thing is, as well, in my video, it's not like some reactionary thing like, "Oh my god, Twilight is bad." I literally talk about Marlon Brando not accepting his Oscar in 1973 for The Godfather because of the way Hollywood treats Native people and makes them these like really dehumanizing stereotypes. So like most of my videos, it's a video about broader topics, and it's not being a Karen to say that like Twilight fits in with a long-lasting trend of depicting Native people like savages, animals, subhuman, shit like that. Hi, Noe Green. Thanks for joining. Halo 5 was a fucking joke. It was so fucking stupid. Tim Pool and the anti-SJW does better world building than George Martin and Frank Herbert, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's like I always say in my videos, isn't it? It's like anti-SJWs basically write fan fiction of reality. It's like their whole channels are based on these premises that stuff is happening behind the scenes in these media companies that they obviously don't know anything about. So the big one, obviously, when I talk about Star Wars, is Kathleen Kennedy versus Jon Favreau, two like big Hollywood veteran producers who probably have known each other for years, even before Star Wars. But then in their minds, there's some sort of civil war. And Kathleen Kennedy is the feminist, and Jon Favreau is for the fans, like, for the fans. For the fans is like some, it's not like a dog whistle, what would I call it? It's like some little part, like, saying, it's like, for the fans means you're like some sort of conservative anti-SJW or some shit. It's so fucking weird. Like, I'll never get over how, but here's the thing, I need to make a video on this, like, how many of these guys are actually genuine, and how many of these guys like do it completely for money, and or is it just like always a combination of both that maybe like goes different ways? I don't know. Like, so Geeks and Gamers, for example, or Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers, he has like a politics channel as well, so you can kind of say that like his view on this stuff is driven by his political ideology, and maybe he has some sort of political goal, making more people come around to his side of, you know, viewing things. Someone like The Quartering, for example, seems to be more of a grifter with really bad political opinions, in the sense that you guys will know what I'm talking about. If you've ever watched a Quartering video, he doesn't actually say his opinion too much, like maybe at the start and the end, but most of the time he's just reading through articles and making like small offhand comments that might show his like right-wing opinions, but he seems a lot more like it's a grift, basically, like it's just for money, which I think with him more than Geeks and Gamers. Hex saying, I think it's a bit of both, but I think there is more grifters. Quarter Pounder is 100% a grifter. Yeah, quartering is definitely. Jack saying, there's so much fucked up about the Twilight books and movies. If anything, your video could have been longer. The thing is, Jack, I haven't actually read the books, so I had to read obviously that academic essay which talked more about the books. Otherwise, I would have liked to talk more about it. Halo 5 was a joke. Yeah, Halo 5 was really shit. Speaking of Halo, since the title of the video, who's played Splitgate, the Halo clone, which just released its beta on like console? It's really, really good. Like, I haven't enjoyed Halo multiplayer for a long time. I just find it too like twitchy now. Obviously, Halo 5 is full of microtransactions, but Splitgate's really fun, and also like you obviously start off playing against bots, but then the portal mechanic no one really fucking uses. Maybe because it's free to play, so it's actually really easy at the moment as well. Maybe if it goes, you know, you have to pay for it and stuff, it will be less easy. But at the moment, like it's just so easy. It's a great game. Yeah, it's really good. I'm really surprised. I'd love it on the Switch or something. But yeah, like it's I, it really like stretches into the territory of rip off, because it okay, it's not just inspired by Halo, it is pretty much ripping off Halo in nearly every aspect apart from the portal mechanic. Like the guns, literally most of them look the same, but they sound the same and literally feel the same as Halo guns. I'm not joking. Go use like the rocket launcher or like the battle rifle. So yeah, like definitely if Microsoft wanted to, I think they could definitely sue. But yeah, here's something else I want to talk about, right? Let me flick it up on the screen. So there was a take, I don't know who the fuck this person is, maybe you guys can tell me. So there's a big debate going on Twitter. Lucky for you guys who don't use Twitter. Someone called Ashley Lynch, who, if I go on their profile, apparently is some sort of creator. I don't know. A couple people I follow them, so I don't know who they are, right? Anyway, they're basically saying, under communism or whatever, and markets and profit, basically films can't exist. You need the profit incentive for people to work on them, and it's just fucking ridiculous, right? Like, of course films can exist without capitalism and without payment. It's art, right? Like with most artistic people, if we have the end of capitalism, it doesn't mean like artists will stop drawing pictures. Like, how many of you, like, I'm sure a few of you in the chat, maybe a lot of you, do you draw? Do you do some sort of artistic thing? Do you make videos on YouTube? Do you do anything? How many of you are getting paid for that? Do you know what I mean? Like, or even if you're getting paid, oftentimes you're not really doing it for the money because the payment isn't great. And she's getting ratio because everyone obviously says, like, you know, it's ridiculous to say this because it's an artistic thing. I'm sure a lot of people who made movies, especially modern filmmakers, they probably made movies on camcorders with their friends when they were younger. And you're telling me they needed a profit incentive to do that? And I want to talk about Marvel movies. So someone said to me, like, let me just read this for you quick. You guys see it? All right. So Tankies All Day have been unable to answer me why in their proposed world devoid of markets and ownership that anyone would spend their time working on someone else's film for nothing in return. It's literally the most ridiculous thing. Like, because you like it. Like, ideally, in even a capitalist world, you work at something you like, right? So, and also, the film industry has good unions, right? So you don't get as much exploitation. But for example, think of people who make video games, right? And we've seen all this stuff with Activision, Blizzard. These people stay in spite of these awful conditions. Now, a lot of them will stay because they need their jobs, obviously. But a lot of them put up with it because they just love video games and love making them. So if you took care of their material needs, a lot of these people would still make video games. It's like when Jamie, on the Majority Report, when I asked her how you'd make a video game and how idolised were, and she totally whiffed and said, if you can't get people to volunteer to make your game and get a better idea. But again, people make games for free all the time. All these mods, wasn't Counter-Strike a mod for Half-Life that people made for free? in, was it 1997? Not that people made with like, oh, Valve is gonna buy this and we're gonna be rich. No, like, this is fun. Let's make something fun together that everyone can enjoy. Like, you don't have to be a communist to, or even any kind of left winger, to make stuff because you like it, and make stuff for the public because you like making stuff for the public. Even like YouTubers, for example, obviously YouTube now is like my main source of income, so it's my job, for example. But before, last year especially, I literally made nearly no money on YouTube. I just made stuff because I liked it, and I liked people commenting. I liked the reaction to my videos. I liked making videos, and I barely until 2021, I barely made no money on YouTube, and because I didn't do it for the money, I just did it because I liked it, and I did it, as a hobby. I did it outside of work when I was working. I didn't even care about the money from YouTube because I had a job anyway. So it's just ridiculous to think people, and okay, you could make the argument, yeah, Kavernacle, your stuff isn't all like artistic, but I've made like video essays I'm proud of, which I feel like are very creative. Obviously, like I'm choosing the footage, the soundtrack, writing scripts and stuff. I did that for me because I like it. I didn't need a profit incentive to do it. People making the argument that like, even if you're doing it for free, you're always striving to make it a career, but that's bullshit as well. Like I said, take something like Counter-Strike, this mod for Half-Life. These guys weren't thinking, and I think maybe some modders now think that, because there's been examples of video game companies hiring mod teams who've made these mods. But back in the day, people would just mod stuff for fun. Think of all the Skyrim mods. People just do that. And they even make the game better. And they don't get any money for it. So it's so fucking stupid. But here is a take I fucking loved. It made me crack up. I had quite a funny response to it. Like it was a fair enough response. Like he was saying like, oh, if someone could give me like a regional response and not troll me and shit. And I told him what I think. And I want to get into Marvel movies. So basically someone said to me, like, you're making your whole personality, not that I would, on Twitter, like hating Marvel movies, you're so edgy and cool, right? And I want to tell people I don't hate Marvel movies, but I'll show you my problem with them. So I replied to this guy. So right, can you guys see this? Melvin is a bot. Wait, who are you talking about? Who's Melvin? Oh, I'll put him on timeout. Alright, okay. So this person said, someone was replying to this Ashley Lynch person, they said, you're just ignoring what everyone who makes valid arguments that conflicts with your preconceived notions. How would films get made in a non-capitalist environment? Isn't an abstract thought experiment. It's a question that has real answers found in history. And then this guy got like really ratioed. Like, fucking look at this, like 173 quote tweets. And I liked Hugo Panick's one about how would massive films be made in a non-capitalist society? In 1969, 58 self-managed enterprises and over 10,000 people created an epic of such proportions it even puts Bond production to shame. And it was a Yugoslav film about World War II. Picasso did like the artwork for it for free. So he getting ratio, but he said, would we get stuff like Marvel movies in a non-capitalist society, like huge sprawling epics that take hundreds of people to produce and the product of thousands of hours of work? And he said, yeah, most of the comments and retweets are shit and well good because Marvel movies suck and that's just sad. And I bet there is an actual measured response to this, but I'm not digging through a massive dump to find it. Have fun or whatever. So this is my response to him. So I said, could you get hundreds of people to create a massive film? Sure. Would Marvel movies exist anymore? Probably not, since they're the best example of film as a capitalist product. Rarely takes risks. Target audience is nearly every single person. Look and sound the same. They're pretty much designed solely to generate profit. Some seem like they are made by an AI to tick certain boxes that will make it successful. You get a few exceptions, like maybe For Free, which is different, but most are generic as hell. And this is my problem with Marvel movies, right? And I said to someone else on Twitter that WandaVision was cool, Loki was cool, as like these kind of more like unique takes. I haven't finished Loki, by the way, but like the first 3 episodes, it's like very different from what you see. Tom Hiddleston is like a really charismatic actor as well, so he's really good in that role. But stuff like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or like the Avengers movies, or Black Widow, or Ant-Man and the Wasp, and maybe even Black Panther is quite. Black Panther was cool because of the aesthetics, like the actual plot and action was very formulaic. So I'll throw that in the category as well. But basically, what the problem with superhero movies in general is that it's it's film capitalism to its core, in that these movies by and large are designed to be lowest common denominator. And I don't mean that in like a not slanderous way, an insulting way. Like, I enjoy some superhero movies, right? I used to enjoy them a lot more when they were more new and fresh, but it's meant to appeal to everyone. Everyone is meant to like these movies, right? And I'm sure they focus test them to hell and stuff. But the problem is that they all sound the same, they all look the same, and I think they all look like shit, by the way, because they're all so CGI'd. And I want to pivot into a point about CGI and like sort of losing a lot of what makes film really good. But it's like film capitalism in terms of like, this is just film as a product, right? They're not going to hire Terrence Malick to make Black Panther 2 and give him full creative control. They don't care about creative people. And if they do, it's the people who maybe can play ball with Marvel while putting their own spin. So Black Panther's a good example, right? It still really fits into that generic Marvel formula, but they were happy enough to let Ryan Coogler put his own little spin on it with like the central conflict about Wakanda and everything else. But at its core, it was still a very generic superhero movie. The same goes with, like, I haven't seen the Suicide Squad, but Guardians of the Galaxy, right? It's very. I wouldn't. The second one is so bad. Like, it's one of the worst superhero movies I've seen. But let's say the first one, right? It at the time, it was quite refreshing in that it was a lot more funny, right? And then 4-3 is probably the most unique one in that it's very, very funny. Takes these characters like Thor and the Hulk, who are meant to be like these really strong, badass superheroes, and makes them like pretty much like idiots, to be honest. But it works really well, and I really like 4-3. It's just a really, really funny film, and you've got someone like Taika Waititi who does that well. It's still like a bit conventional, but I'd say that's something that goes for the comedy angle a bit more. And I'd say WandaVision is a good example of them letting these creative people have more of. And I think what's going to happen, I think, as well with Disney Plus is, if you guys are old enough, you'll remember early Netflix. And early Netflix had so many good high quality shows. Now it just pumps out absolute garbage films and absolute garbage TV shows. Back in the day, you had like, Orange is the New Black. I don't like it. Lots of people like it. House of Cards. You had the start of Marvel Netflix with Daredevil, which was like, very unique to people. Like, I've never seen like a superhero like this before. Like, it's so gritty. This guy is so like ordinary. He gets very injured, and people were thinking, Daredevil is really, really good. But then slowly as Netflix got more popular, it's just pumping out content, like algorithm. It's like YouTube, essentially. It's like a content farm. And I feel like Disney Plus will eventually get that way, because I think Disney Plus at the moment is like very high quality as a streaming service, in that the TV shows, even if they're generic like Falcon the Winter Soldier, it's really high budget with the star actors, and it's really well made. And then you have something like The Bad Batch, which I'm really enjoying at the moment, the Clone Wars spin-off. And the animation on that is just crazy good. Like, it's I haven't seen probably better high budget animation than The Bad Batch before. And then you have things like Loki and WandaVision, and it's all very high quality. But I feel like just with superhero film, I think superhero shows will follow a similar pattern of just like this distilled capitalism in film form. And the main thing I'd say is, a lot of superhero films have, like, I'd say, like the Simpsons / sitcom effect, where basically however a superhero film kind of like starts, it's gonna kind of end up that way back at the end. So like an episode of The Simpsons, right? A single episode doesn't really change much most of the time. The same with most superhero movies, right? You watch Ant-Man, and whatever happens in Ant-Man's pretty not going to affect much. You watch Ant-Man 2, again, not going to affect much. It kind of has to stay the same to make this stuff work. It can't take as many risks. And then, just like a sitcom or like The Simpsons, you do have certain episodes which change something very slightly. So, like, Maud Flanders died in The Simpsons, for example, and that's quite a big deal for something like The Simpsons. So then you have something like Tony Stark and Captain America leaving the Avengers, and that's quite a big deal. They've been around for a long time. But at this point, you have so many different cast members and so many different franchises, it doesn't actually change much. Because we're still, Black Panther 2 was announced before Black Panther 1 was even released. So nothing significant's really going to happen in that film. Same with, other stuff that's happening now. Like, I just heard Loki Season 2 is getting announced before I finished Loki. So I'm like, okay, then probably not much is really going to change by the end of Loki. And that's fine for people, I guess. But at the same time, it really stops any risks from like occurring, and I think that's a real problem in terms of just the genre in general. And I feel like what's getting even worse in terms of like film capitalism and these things being really distilled into just like the purest form to target a mass audience is the way they're filming it. I don't know if you guys saw the Mandalorian documentary and how they're filming most of it basically in like an aircraft hangar with like a massive screen. And it's really cool technology. It's kind of based on video game technology. I think it might even be based on Unreal Engine. It's really cool, but did anyone see that picture of, I think it was Florence Pugh, and I think David Harbour in Black Widow sitting in a bar, and then people were memeing and saying, like, who gives a shit? But then they actually weren't in a bar. They were just in a green screen room, or like a blue screen room. And I was talking to my girlfriend about this earlier today, and basically I was saying... film loses so much when it's so sterile, just like Marvel movies are. It's very sterile. There's no identity to them. There's no unique elements to them. And we recently on Friday we went up London. We watched a double bill of Blade Runner. So we watched Blade Runner 1 and Blade Runner 2049. I've never seen Blade Runner, the first one, on a cinema screen, so I really wanted to. And watching Blade Runner, when the first open scene of Deckard eating his noodles, and then like the scene where he goes into the sort of bar / strip club, and you just see all the extras, like live animals walking around, like ostriches, llamas. It's like this bizarre / and it goes into a strip club, and the direction of like Ridley Scott and other people involved to make that come alive is just like so good. But it makes it stand the test of time, because this film just feels realistic despite being in like quite fantastical like future setting. It feels so realistic, and it feels very like gritty and grounded. You could say the same for something like Once Upon a Time in America, Robert De Niro gangster film, when they go into the 1910s, and it's like these Jewish neighborhoods, and there's just like hundreds of extras on screen, like shops going on, horses pulling carriages and stuff like that. And it really gives the film obviously such a unique identity, but really brings that world alive for you. And what my fear is, with the Mandalorian tech, it becomes even easier for these corporations to just pump out these films, but at the expense of them being obviously cheaper to make, but very sterile. And I think Marvel is a perfect example of a film. Like, why I love... Like, here's another example. I love this movie called Mean Streets. It's like the first famous Martin Scorsese one. And why I love that film is because it's taking place like very clearly in a real life New York. Like, you see the extras, but this is also filmed the real setting, because it's just so packed. There's so many people, and the film didn't have like a massive budget at the time. But I love that film because you just feel like you're in 1970s New York. No one's going to watch Marvel movies in 30 years and be like, oh, that really brought me into 2010s London or 2010s New York or something. The Avengers really got New York. No one's going to think that, because these movies, they're going to age terribly. And I was watching Blade Runner on the big screen, and I was thinking, this film is 40 years old next year. And it looks so good still, like not just the effects, just like the sets and everything, and it's such an immersive experience. So I feel like Marvel's and Disney's monopoly, not just on film but on streaming, I think is really detrimental in general. Also, in terms of TV, if you watch something like Mr. Robot, and compare that even to like Marvel stuff set in New York in the TV shows on Netflix, it's just so much better because so much work has been put into the cinematography and making this show look really unique. So that's my main take on this stuff. Like people saying about profit motive and incentive, what it's doing to the film industry and TV shows, it is like making it so uniform that it's literally just made for you to watch and consume, but not put much thought into it. And it's meant to be like very good on the surface level, like it will make you laugh. It's like action you can watch, which is a bit entertaining, but there's no stakes and nothing will change. It's like watching The Simpsons, essentially. It's like every single superhero movie you watch, or every single 6-hour superhero show you watch, is like an episode of The Simpsons, where it's like funny and entertaining, but you're not going to think too much about it, especially, you know, later Simpsons. Maybe like some of the earlier ones are quite good and stuff. So it's just like, for me, even like making this argument, like, under communism you wouldn't have good films. Under communism, you know, I don't know how we'd like distribute the resources to make films and stuff, but even George Lucas said, like, in the Soviet Union, he's like, I envy the filmmakers, they have more creative freedom. Like, sure, you have to like fulfill some government guidelines, but it's not like here where it's completely distilled to a profit incentive, where you're not making films for art, you're making films to make a giant corporation even more money, and that's the bottom line. And sure, you'll get the Black Panthers, where they'll tolerate a more political message mixed in with generic formula. They'll allow you that, but at the same time, it keeps it just fresh enough for people that they'll tolerate it more. But then, literally, can you tell the difference between like Avengers: Age of Ultron, Captain America 3, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and films like that? They just all look and sound the same. Whereas in my head, it, like, for example, Blade Runner is maybe not the best example, but here you have two films, and they're so distinct from each other. You're never going to confuse them. They look so different, and they sound so different despite being a sequel to them. But let's even take, you know, I like Star Wars a fair bit, right? I guess for example, like a good example, maybe Rogue One versus like Rogue One versus the sequel trilogy. I think is a good example where the sequel trilogy to me feels like very sterile. Like it's like the Marvel-fication of Star Wars. I think the sequels, whereas something like Rogue One, even if you don't like that as much, it's very clear there is passion behind it, just because it just looks. So like the world building is pretty good and it looks so dense. Like when they go to that like Mecha inspired planet, and you just see all these different alien races and these packed streets and these packed sets, and that is something that you can't get in the sequel trilogy. And it feels like people understand, who at least worked on Rogue One, what makes even films like the original Star Wars so timeless is because it's real, and that's something I feel like is getting less and less. Like everything is, why can't you film in a bar? Is that too much to ask? Like, I know it's, you know, COVID times and stuff, but you can't film in a bar anymore. Whereas Blade Runner is going to have this packed, like absolutely rammed bar with like live animals and like music and stuff. And think of the budget of these films. The budget of the films is not, in a lot of ways, going to the craft. It's going to paying the actors. Scarlett Johansson says she's owed 50 million. 50 million for one film? Are you joking me? That's like the budget of so many classic films gone by and stuff. So yeah, like this is why, yeah, people saying, how would Marvel movies be made? Marvel movies wouldn't be made under communism, because Marvel movies aren't art. And James Gunn getting all pissy at Martin Scorsese saying this shit, like, it's so ridiculous, because Martin Scorsese is right. Marvel films are films as like a capitalist product and something to like distract you. It's not art. It's never set out to be art. It's never trying to be any sort of art. It's just trying to be a product. And if you confuse it with art, it's because they're letting some of the more creative directors who are artists, like your James Gunns or Taika Waititi and stuff, they're letting them flex their creative muscles a bit more. It doesn't make the film some sort of like artistic masterpiece and stuff. Like people say, like, imagine seeing the Suicide Squad in the cinema. It's like, who gives a fuck? I'd watch that on my television and not give a shit I'm watching it. And, you know, I'd never want to watch that in the cinema. Whereas when something like 1917 came out, I'm like, I've got to watch that in IMAX. Like, this film, which I know has, have someone like Roger Deakins, who's a cinematographer, who did Blade Runner and won the Oscar for Blade Runner. It's like he's doing this, and it's meant to be a one shot, and it's like I've seen how they're making this. I've got to see that in the IMAX. I've got to see Interstellar in the IMAX because I've seen how they're crafting that. I've got to see Dunkirk in the IMAX because I went and saw all these films in the IMAX, and then I'm like, I've got to see Blade Runner in the IMAX just to do it justice. I'm not gonna go watch fucking like Black Widow in IMAX because why the fuck would I? It won't look any better. It looks like shit anyway, and that's like I think for me that says it all. It's like I would watch Black Mirror. I watch Black Widow on my phone, and it would have the same effect as me watching it on an IMAX screen because it's just designed to be a distraction, a short-term distraction. So yeah, like I get people are fans of this stuff, and I get why it's enjoyable, but it's also enjoyable because it's designed to be enjoyable. What has any Marvel movie been that controversial? Like seriously, any DC movie. The only time they're controversial is when they're total shit, but then they make a bunch of money anyway. Think of like that Venom film, total garbage, but it made a bunch of money because it has like this like product mindset. Oh, get Tom Hardy as Venom, even though completely miscast. Because people like Tom Hardy and they'll go see Venom because of it. It's just like, in general, like it's fine. Like I'll and I'm guilty of like consuming the corporate stuff anyway. Like I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I watched WandaVision, I'm watching Loki at the moment, but I just stick it on while I'm working out. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not riveted, like edge of my seat. I'm just like, yeah, put it on while I'm doing some weights and doing some Ring Fit Adventure on my Switch and stuff. And I'll pay attention enough and I'll listen to it, but then it's gone. Whereas if it's my favorite TV show, like I'm watching that. I'm not sticking that on while I'm working out or something. And I think someone's talking about Watchmen HBO. I can't really see the chat properly. Watchmen HBO, yeah, that's like a freak example, but mainly because the actual source material is written by a guy who absolutely fucking hates capitalism. And then but I think TV shows are a different thing, right? Like HBO, if you're getting this HBO budget, you're well funded and it's going to look really good, but also a lot of the time HBO shows do take enough risks, especially to start with. We get like a Game of Thrones situation where it kind of becomes very formulaic and generic in the end. But The Last of Us show, I'm optimistic for. HBO money behind that. HBO means like no censors essentially because it's so violent and so graphic. So I'm hyped for something like that. Whereas like I feel like with superhero shit in general, it's not just Disney, like the Flash stuff or Supergirl, it's all just so generic, and that's Flash and Supergirl just looks like garbage. Like I'm talking about Marvel looking bad. That stuff just looks like dog shit. Like, but it's just based on the property, hoping you'll consume it regardless. Here, I'm gonna take some comments. All right, let's see what people are saying. Sorry, I've missed so many. What are people saying in the chat? MCU is so soulless, saying Katie. Yeah, I agree. It's Diego saying Watchmen. Yeah, Watchmen is really good on HBO. Sorry. Tom saying, Tom Fury, I have friends who are grown-ass men are defending the artistic quality of Marvel films. I think, okay, here's another like hot take for you, right? Marvel films and superhero films are often designed for people who don't like films, right? So it's pretty... It's pretty likely if you're a massive fan of Marvel films, it's probably you haven't seen many good films or many films that kind of stray from the mold. Not being like a snob, but if you think Marvel films have some sort of artistic quality to them, then you probably haven't watched many films. And I think for good and bad, I think what superhero movies has done have brought films to people who wouldn't traditionally watch movies. And it's good for getting them into movies, but then a lot of them kind of stay in like this narrow lane of I'll watch the newest release on Netflix, which is likely to be garbage, or I'll watch the newest Marvel movie. I'm not going out and watching something more artistic and less mainstream. Alright, I'm weirdly getting a new account. Sorry, I'm getting some weird fucking spam. I'm surprised by the lack of mods. I'm the only mod here because I only trust myself. The Spider-Verse. I haven't seen that, but I have heard good things. Kavernacle, are you a Halo gamer? Yeah, I like Halo a lot, actually. It's one of my favourite franchises growing up. Would something like Death Stranding exist in a non-capitalist society? Yeah, Kevin, Death Stranding would, but I think you get rare people who have built up. The thing with Kojima is that he doesn't make his Metal Gear games enjoyable to appeal to the market. He just likes that shit. I could totally say that like if you knew Kojima didn't want to like put enjoyable gameplay into stuff like Metal Gear Solid 5, then you could totally make the argument that like, oh, if we weren't in capitalism he wouldn't design it that way. But because he genuinely does like games playing like that, then it's a bit different in his regard. I could see an argument saying that Death Stranding is like so fucking weird and different. I think that would definitely exist in a post-capitalist society, whereas something like Call of Duty obviously wouldn't exist in a post-capitalist society. So I'm just reading some more comments. Blade Runner is a masterpiece. Yeah, I like the second one better, but I do love both. So, yeah, Amity, I feel you on that Mandalorian thing. I actually told someone, I think it was my brother, I was like, I preferred season 1. And the difference is, I was talking to my friend about this, I've watched all the Star Wars stuff. Like, I've watched all the cartoons, or the animated shows. I've watched all the films, right? So I know when Ahsoka says, "Where's Thrawn?" I know that's referring to the ending of Star Wars Rebels. When they're all fighting over this, like, Darksaber, I've seen that in all the animated shows. And I felt like you, I was like, it just felt like, rather than like this singular story, like the first season of The Mandalorian and this child, it felt like, here's like our Marvel Cinematic Universe and we're connected to everything. And I think stuff like the Clone Wars and Rebels and even the Bad Batch is better at connecting stuff, because it's like, here is something like they had Gregor from the Clone Wars in Bad Batch, but it wasn't obviously him because he didn't look like him in either the Clone Wars or in Rebels. But it's like, if you know who he is, then that's cool, you know who he is. If you don't know who he is, here is just some clone commando who's friends with Rex that they have to rescue or something. And while in The Mandalorian, it's like, here's Ahsoka, who's Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, who was in Rebels and the Clone Wars, and you're introduced into a bunch of people who don't know anything about that, and it's just like, well, and here's her talking about Thrawn, who no one even knows. Yeah, the finale of Black Panther looks like shit. So I'm just reading some more. The MCU and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Rogue One is great. Yeah, I really like Rogue One. Hello everyone. Hello Cav. Hello Ivory Skull. I saw a comment like they didn't film in a bar because these things often need more unionised workers that aren't required with green screens. Okay, so it's a shitty thing to do anyway. Soviet Russia pumped out a shit ton of movies. Yeah, I've never seen them, but I'm sure there are some good ones. Just because it's intended for profit, it's still art. I disagree with that one, especially... okay, so I think if anyone wants to know about the business of film, Oliver Stone's autobiography, which I keep recommending, because he just talks about every aspect of film, he talks about like the profitability and viability of films, getting budgets, like mortgaging his house for like this budget on this film called Salvador, which he made. There is an element of obviously profitability in getting films funded, right? But how like a general film works is that, or even back in the day, is you'd have this idea, you'd have this director, you'd have these writers, and you'd pitch the film. You'd get your screenplay read by higher ups at big studios, and then they'd give you a budget, and you'd make the film because they think this could be profitable, and I'm going to take a risk. Oliver Stone, I'm going to give you X, Y, and Z money for Platoon or Salvador or Born on the 4th of July, because I think that will make money. But these studios have so many other films, they will write that off happily if it doesn't make money. But what Marvel does, it's different. It's not. Taika Waititi isn't going to Marvel and being like, "Let me make a Thor movie, please." It's Marvel going, "Make this movie, please." And maybe we'll take some pictures of how it could go, but you're making this movie. We want Iron Man. That's how it started. We want Captain America, and now we want, I don't know, all these other characters, Moon Knight with Oscar Isaac or some shit like that. It's coming from the top. It's not, a famous director going to Marvel and being like, I want to make this movie, let me make it. That's not how it happens in terms of Marvel specifically. So I feel like you can make the argument that, like, because it's intended for profit in terms of like the whole general view of films, then yeah, that's fine. But when we're talking about superhero films, where it is just like a studio is like, make this for me so we can make money, that's a bit different, I think. Rather than me writing a screenplay, having someone at Warner Brothers read it, and then them going, here's $20 million, make that film. But then obviously even with that, you often have studio interference anyway. And look at David Ayer, who made the first Suicide Squad, what he said on Twitter about how much the studio meddled to make it just this capitalist product to make them loads of money, because people had a good reaction to one of the fucking trailers or something. Alright, eating some more. Venom CGI is a PS4 cutscene. Alright, sorry, I'm just reading some more stuff. Who killed Captain Alex? I saw that reviewed on I Hate Everything. So I'm reading some more stuff. Tetris, the OG commie game. Yeah, exactly. Tetris made in the USSR. Yeah, Jack saying like something like Avengers seems like it'd never be possible. The only credit I would say is that the filmmakers did a good job at making a film with all these characters without it being a mess. If that's the greatest compliment I could give to something like Avengers Infinity War, where it just, it was good, and it was good at balancing all the characters. I'd say that's the biggest strength there, although it's just very, very predictable. If Avengers ended and like no one came back from the blip, then I'd be like, holy shit, like at least they're doing something different. I read some more stuff. I haven't played Fire Emblem. I'm sorry, now it. Right, read some more. Blade Runner was not art in its own time. Yeah, but Ellie, Blade Runner was always art, and it had studio meddling to make that stupid voiceover. But Blade Runner is so significant because it was so different from anything else you saw, and it looks fucking amazing. Like, we were watching it the other day, I'm like, this came out in like 40 fucking years ago. This came out, and it looks fucking good. Being art doesn't mean the consensus is this is good. That's often not the case. The thing with every Marvel movie is it's always considered at least passable, right? Blade Runner didn't review well when it came out, but it became this cult phenomenon because it was art and it was polarizing for the time as well. And even if it wasn't polarizing, it wasn't designed with profit in mind. It was designed to depict this world of this vision, and Ridley Scott talks about how it's so influenced by his upbringing in Bristol and his upbringing and working in Hong Kong and stuff. So it's clearly his vision of this novel by Philip K. Dick, this not obscure novel, but it wasn't even Dick's most popular novel, and he wasn't like a massive author either. So if people liked it at the time or not, it doesn't make it not art, because Blade Runner, if I'm talking about Blade Runner's art, even what it's inspired, it's basically the father of the cyberpunk genre, like visually. The synth music in it like created a lot of the synth music in like Germany and Britain in the 1990s and stuff, like inspired by the Blade Runner score. I would say like I can understand what people say, but every frame of Blade Runner is just so atmospheric and stuff. It even like as like a painting or a backdrop, it's just like absolutely amazing to look at. Whereas Marvel movies, they look sterile. They look like shit. They look like they were made in a video game engine. And they're just solely designed to be crowd pleasers. Blade Runner, people didn't think of Blade Runner like, the studio kind of tried to make it more understandable by adding in the narration by Harrison Ford, which apparently he just fucking phoned in anyway because he didn't want to do it. But yeah, I think Ridley Scott is a good case study of how capitalism constraints are, because he releases Blade Runner Director's Cut and Kingdom of Heaven Director's Cut, and then people are like, these are fucking amazing movies. Whereas when they first came out, because of studio meddling, they were cut down significantly. And even something I mentioned before, Once Upon a Time in America, Robert De Niro, it's 4 hours, right? It's a 4-hour movie. The original was 2 hours because the studio did not want to publish a 4-hour movie, and it got panned by critics at the time. They released the 4-hour movie like 5 or 6 years later. Everyone thinks it's like a masterpiece and stuff. So I would make the argument often with films like Blade Runner or Once Upon a Time in America, often when they are actually seen as bad movies, it's often because of studio meddling, which happened in both those movies. Katie, I agree about the Luke stuff, although like the CGI for him was so fucking bad. It's like, you have this massive budget, come on, you got infinite money. just fucking put it into the production. David saying, what I see with most people who don't really like artistic movies is because they don't understand the movie. They think the movie is stupid. Yeah, David, it could be something to do with anti-SJWs also not understanding subtext at all. Like, I think it's another big part of it, like thinking Fight Club is not about capitalism and stuff. Profit motivated art can be good, but art that's the sole purpose to make money and appeal to as large of audience as possible is no longer art. Too many concessions are made by the artist. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like profit motivated art. If a filmmaker is motivated by profit, he can still make something good. I'm not saying that, completely discounting that, but it's like, yeah, if you got freedom of not worrying about profits, then your product is probably going to be better, or your end product, not that it's going to be like a capitalist product. Ellie also saying, only in the last 30-ish years has sci-fi been elevated from kids stuff. No, but that's, Ellie, that's kind of wrong though. Like 2001 and A Space Odyssey is like this iconic film. Planet of the Apes, iconic film. They both came out in 1968. That's not 30 years ago. Alien came out in 1979. Blade Runner came out in 1982. The Day the Earth Stood Still came out in like 1957. Invasion of the Body Snatchers came out in like 1957. Sci-fi has been around. Sci-fi has been taken seriously. Aren't Jules Verne's books from like the 1880s or something? Marvel movies are not comparable to sci-fi movies in my opinion, especially now. Like, so like something like The Dark Knight is like a good example of a superhero movie that very much is like the vision of a director, and it wasn't done necessarily to, like, obviously it's a Batman film, so there's always the profit incentive in mind, but like Christopher Nolan had like real tight control over what was in that film. They didn't go to him and be like, we want this dark and gritty Batman, cast Heath Ledger as the Joker and blah blah blah. That's not how it happened. But lucky for someone like Chris Nolan, he has the reputation and respect of people that he gets the full creative control and he doesn't get studio meddling because they trust him. He's like one of the few. He's one of the few blockbuster filmmakers who gets to do what he wants. I'd say Denis Villeneuve is another one who kind of gets to do what he wants, but they're extremely rare. Even I'm not even just talking about Marvel movies, I'm just talking about general film industry. Look, I'm not even. People are getting it wrong in the comments. I'm not saying you can't like Marvel movies. I'm literally not saying that. They're literally designed to be liked as by as many people as possible, right? If I say Marvel movies I like, okay, I like them, like, but I like them like I like watching The Simpsons. Simpsons is better than Marvel movies, but do you know what I mean? Like, I like it as much as I like watching Friends or something. Like, I'll stick it on, I might be entertained for a bit, and I won't think about it ever again. That's pretty much it. And like I said, Loki was kind of fun. WandaVision was kind of fun. Falcon the Winter Soldier was fine, like to stick on when I'm doing weights or something. I'm not having my mind blown. And the thing is with these types of movies is when they touch on something interesting, they backpedal. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was it Isaiah Bradley is like the Black Captain America, and what he's saying all this stuff about being black in America, which is super interesting, and then they backpedal that completely at the end. And then it's just shit like that. It's like, oh, this is actually quite interesting for a Marvel movie to say, and it's like, oh, but of course it's the setup is just so Anthony Mackie can be like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, I grew up in the South, but I'm just gonna be Captain America anyway. Reading some more stuff. People liked 2001 because people fucking love Stanley Kubrick even back then. Can you still enjoy the MCU? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let me have my Luke moment. Yeah, it was a cool moment. It was a cool moment. I'll give you that. So I'm just reading some more stuff. Yeah, I love the aesthetics of Alien. Um, what do I think about Obama? He fucking sucks. What do you think? No, but the thing is, Ellie, I'm not saying I don't like the MCU. I like Marvel films, but I'm still maintaining the argument. Superhero movies in the current year. I'm not saying all the time, like Sam Raimi Spider Man, right? That I think that is more artistic because it's Sam Raimi's style. Like it's very clearly a Sam Raimi film. The Russo brothers films are just generic as hell, and the reason they're trusted with so many Marvel films is because it's just so sterile, clean, and very easy for people to digest. And I think you can say that Marvel movies solely exist for profit, and it's like top down filmmaking. It's like this is completely controlled by like this massive conglomerate which owns so many media properties just for the benefit of revenue, right? And I think Marvel, and although I think it will get to this point with Star Wars, Marvel is at the later stage of this stuff where it has become more uniform, right? So when Iron Man came out for the first time, and you could say, I've got no problem with people saying the first Iron Man film is art, because I think the first Iron Man film is really interesting because it was so different from everything else, and it's clearly not fitting into a mold of what a superhero movie should be. I like the first Iron Man, the Sam Raimi Spider Man films, the Chris Nolan Dark Knight films, and even to an extent, as much of their shit movies, the Zack Snyder movies, I wouldn't. I mean, can you consider them art? maybe, I don't know, but at least it's very clearly Zack Snyder doing this, which I respect a bit more. But with Marvel specifically, and I think Star Wars will get to this point, now everything Marvel churns out is just so similar, and I'm just, my main point is it's meant to be that way, and it's meant to be uncontroversial and generic, and it's just a capitalist product. And I feel like if anyone was making Marvel movies in a post-capitalist society, none of them would look like that. Like, for example, okay, you guys tell me, why if Terrence Malick, who directed The Tree of Life, The Thin Red Line, The New World, if he goes to Marvel and says, all right, I really, really want to make, let's think of a character that you would like. I don't know. Terrence Malick goes to Marvel and says, I really want to make a Captain Britain film. Marvel, would you please give me some money? You know, I'm a established name. I'm a famous director. Can I have some money? There is no way in hell that they would, in all their infinite money, that Disney Marvel would give Terrence Malick any budget to make a Captain Britain film, for example. Because the purpose of, like I was saying, the purpose of these films is just to make money, like, even from the inception of them. It's not that, you know, like I said, it's not that these directors are going to them and be like, let me make this film, I've got such a good story to tell, let me do it in my own style, people will love it, I'm Terrence Malick, let me make my fucking Captain Britain film. That's just not happening. Whereas, like, I can concede that, like, you can make stuff for profit, but I think it's, you know, studio meddling is a problem in general, but I think the studios just own these films so completely. Like, they're not just there to help these stories be told and make money if they're successful. It's like, it literally is just a product. And I think, you know, the Disney Plus shows are a bit refreshing because apart from Falcon the Winter Soldier, they're kind of breaking the mold a bit in that Loki and WandaVision, especially WandaVision, it is very different from the other Marvel stuff. But I feel like as it goes on, I think that's what people don't get what I'm saying. I think older MCU films, some of them could be considered art when the creators were allowed to, like, kind of make something more unique. But I feel like as time went on, it all becomes extremely similar and just one thing. And people say it's like, you know, they're all part of one TV show, and that's how it kind of feels now. You know, films aren't meant to all feel the same, but because it's, you know, this TV show mindset where every movie is just another episode of a television show, they are designed to all look the way they are, because it's just about people consume, watch every single one, and you know, the mass consumer will watch everyone, and you've got to ask yourself, you know, let's say Marvel tomorrow change their mind and say, any director, come to us, pitch a film, we'll give you a budget, you make it. And then Ridley Scott, Terrence Malick, Denis Villeneuve, Martin Scorsese, Oliver Stone, all come, get their budget for their films, right? They make their superhero movies, and let's say they're all connected as well, say they're like sequels or whatever. The masses are not going to watch all of those films because they're not going to like all of those films, right? Because they're not going to be designed for the masses to like them. It's going to be the vision of the creators, who are all very different from each other. And that's my main point, is that even when you hire a Taika Waititi, who's very different from, let's say, Kenneth Branagh, who made like the first Thor movie, so that's Thor 1 compared to Thor 3, there is still like this bubble it can't break. And superhero movies, like you see it with things like the Watchmen show, they do not have to fit into this mold or this bubble, but under Marvel's, like, I guess, you know, the way they make stuff, it does fit into this bubble, and it has to fit into this bubble. And if we're talking about like art and stuff, then and it's problem with capitalism in general, then I don't think superhero movies have to fit into a certain mold, yet nearly every single superhero movie does fit into a certain mold. And it's even like, it's not even just the aesthetics, it's just everything is so similar. And for example, people might say this about, you know, the gangster genre is one of the most oversaturated film genres, like gangster films, right? But you can see how Goodfellas is different, very different from Donnie Brasco, for example, or let me think of some other ones. or The Godfather is very different from Casino. Even though like you might think on the surface like Italian mobsters, old-fashioned music, loads of like Italian food, they are very different when you watch them, right? Even though aesthetically it might seem quite similar, they are different. Whereas with Marvel movies, aesthetically, they all look pretty similar, and when you actually get into them, they all feel very similar. And also, it's kind of by design. People might say creatively, like, oh, we can have Doctor Strange pop up in Spider-Man, but that's also just to keep consumers on the hook, so you've got to watch them all. And now people are saying the next big thing is now, to keep up with the MCU, not only do you have to watch all the movies, you've actually got to watch all the TV shows. So when they design it this way, you don't only have to buy cinema tickets now, you've also got to buy a subscription to Disney Plus to keep up with the MCU. And because they've created this monopoly on like this superhero genre and culture, you don't want to have FOMO. Like, you don't want to be left out of this sort of experience of the masses of like, did you see what this happened? Or, Black Widow is connected to this through the post-credit sequences and all this shit and stuff. And for some, I get for comic fans how that can be cool. And if Marvel movies didn't totally dominate global cinema, I might also say that is a kind of cool thing to have a film franchise which just keeps going and stuff, and like has lots of interconnectivity. But because it's the dominant films, and it's owned by the same company who also owns like Star Wars and loads of Disney properties as well, that makes me way more cynical in that like it's not done to be like this one unique film franchise which is all interconnected. It's just done to keep you on the hook to keep watching these movies. And that's my main point. Like, if this was film as art, and you wanted to, let's appeal to as many people as possible through making the films very different from each other. Let's hire Terrence Malick and Oliver Stone or some shit like that. Then I concede it a bit more. But the directors they hire are often like very, very safe directors. And like I said, even when you get Ryan Coogler or Taika Waititi, they still have to play ball. Even they can add their little flair to it. Which is my main point, because I don't think you could tell me seriously if Ryan Coogler had complete control over Black Panther, he would make it the exact same way he did. Or if Taika Waititi had complete control on 4-3, he would make it the way he did. Now, maybe in the sequel, whatever it's called, Something and Thunder, maybe he will get more creative control, because he's proved to them he can make them a film, right? And maybe Ryan Coogler will get more creative control on Black Panther 2, because he's proved to them he can make them a good product or something, and they might trust him. But like, I don't think people can tell me when they hire these quite trendy names to make the first film that these guys have complete creative control. Because I just don't believe that for a second when you have to make these, essentially films as products. And again, I'm not saying you can't like them, you can like them, I like them as like, just general entertainment. And I actually don't like a lot of films I consider as art as well, which people need to realise. I probably like some Marvel movies better than films I consider art, and they're more entertaining. I'm just very cynical about the sort of uniformity of cinema, and I'm not the only person to say it. Like, I know Martin Scorsese, obviously someone I respect and everything, he is saying the same type of shit because he's someone who's always promoted global cinema. Like, he funds loads of small films from really far off countries, and he always has. And with the whole world, these films don't dominate the global box office every year because they're the best films, you know what I mean? And that's something that always happens. But it feels like now, you look at the top 10 films or whatever year, they're all pretty similar. And that's the problem. If you go back 20 years or 30 years, they're all pretty different. And that's the main thing. Because, like, some films, like, people say, okay, here's one for you, right? Nick Refn, who directed Drive, I really like him as a director. Like the Neon Demon, Only God Forgives is a hard movie to watch. Like, and it's kind of boring, right? I consider that movie to be art as well, because it's like, it's trying to say something in an interesting way. It looks amazing, and it sounds amazing. I don't like that movie. And it's gross as well. He made a TV show on Amazon called Too Old to Die Young, and I broadly like that show. It's also really what's the word, self-indulgent and other shit. So like there's bits I really don't like. I do consider that art, but I appreciate it more because it's taking risks and it's someone's own vision. And even if I don't like it, that's a whatever. Whereas the thing is, when I watch a Marvel movie, I don't have a visceral I hate this reaction, or I love, but I never have. Also never have I love this reaction. It's just always like, yeah, that's fine. Like I remember the moment I noticed this was when the first Spider-Man MCU movie came out, and I saw it with my friends, and then I came out in the cinema, and I literally could not think of anything to talk about the film. Like that porn joke that his friend said was funny, I didn't expect that, but then it's just like it was just so formulaic, and like maybe the little bit with Michael Keaton finding out he was Spider-Man when he's the girlfriend's dad, that was kind of funny, but then it's like, yeah, apart from that, it's just so generic. Like, what are we going to talk about? We've seen this type of movie like a million times, and it's not even as good as the old Spider-Mans. Alright, in some more comments. Yeah, this is a good point made by Tom. I studied the Dark Knight trilogy in college film class, and I don't think that will be done in the majority of Marvel movies. Maybe 4 or 5 are worthy of a level of analysis. Yeah, I'd say for Marvel movies, probably the only one worthy of actual analysis is probably Black Panther. And like I said, I don't think that's a great movie or particularly revolutionary, but I think the aesthetic and moral dilemma is interesting enough to like study a bit more like deeply. Whereas I'm trying to think of another one. Maybe, I don't know, the first Iron Man, possibly. Yeah, people love Robocop. Yeah, Bryce. Logan is like a rare one. Where like I feel like it did take risks just with its premise in general, but I think like that was also Fox as well. So it wasn't part of this hegemony of MCU, like Deadpool as well. Like Deadpool before it was bought by the MCU, I think is interesting. Just like taking a chance and everything. Can I debate you over Obama? No. What would we debate about Obama? Okay, why would we debate Obama, and what would we debate about him? I think he's shit. Yeah, David, I haven't finished Fargo. I've watched 3 seasons, but yeah, it's fucking amazing. Like, I love season 2, but I love them. I love them all. Even season 3 is really good. Man of Steel was okay. Bit ridiculous at the end. I know Marvel movies will be, most of them, people won't even give a shit about Marvel movies. Like, aside from like Avengers Endgame or something, or Infinity War. People aren't going to be talking about Captain America First Avenger in like 40 years' time or something. So I'm reading some more. I honestly feel sorry for anyone who cares that much about the MCU. The thing is, for someone like me who hates it, I have watched most of them. I think that's also made me more like jaded about them, just because it's like, I've got no interest in ever watching Black Widow, for example, and I've got no interest in ever watching Doctor Strange. I'd only watch okay. I'm more interested in Doctor Strange 2, even though I've never seen 1, because of Sam Raimi. Actually, if they bring Tobey Maguire into the MCU as Spider-Man, I'll take back everything I've said. Um, Hi Vin, thanks for joining. Um, Legion, yeah, Legion. David, it's Noah Hawley, isn't it? He did Fargo. I really want to watch Legion. Um, Lord of the Rings films remind me of the development of Halo 2, just a diamond from the sheer pressure. Didn't they film the first two films before the turn of the century or something? Like, I'm pretty sure they finished two of the Lord of the Rings films in the 90s. Yeah, I loved Lord of the Rings when I was a kid. Yeah, Lord of the Rings was a weird one actually because it was a really popular book, but the family just wouldn't give the rights to anyone. Like the Beatles wanted to make a Lord of the Rings film in like the 70s or something, or the 60s. Um, but yeah, Lord of the Rings is like a. I don't think you'll ever see a film like that again, to be honest, or a film like series like that. I think it's so like I think for like a massive budget production, it's just very its own thing. And it's kind of hard. Like obviously, someone like me who grew up with Lord of the Rings, it's kind of hard to even look back at it properly because obviously its influence was so massive and has been copied so many times. You can't really divorce it now from like the impact it had in the film industry. It's just crazy. How did Lord of the Rings 3 win 12 Oscars? Can you imagine like Avengers winning 12 Oscars or something, or Captain America 3 winning 12 Oscars? It's absolutely insane. Yeah, Drive. But the thing is with Drive, as a film, I don't think it's meant to have a message about anything. It's also based on a book, as well. The book's fine, but I think Drive's point is just the style, and it's just like a. I said the best way to describe Drive. It's like a B movie from the 1970s wrapped in like a early 2010s art house skin, so it just like looks and sounds fucking amazing, but there's really nothing to it. You got the family connection. It's also got some crazy good actors in it though. Ryan Gosling, Oscar Isaac before he was big, Carey Mulligan before she was big, Ron Perlman, Bryan Cranston, Albert Brooks, Christina Hendricks. It's pretty crazy. You've got like really stacked cast, but they're all like a bit. Christina Hendricks was fairly famous for Mad Men, but like, and Bryan Cranston was famous for Breaking Bad. Where's the Obama person gone? You drink water like it's trying to run away. Yeah, I'm really thirsty. If Endgame won the Oscars, it would be the end of the Oscars. Um, Fury Road is art. Yeah, I appreciate Fury Road, and Mad Max in general. They shot all three films at once. Didn't they film the third one a bit later? Yeah, Brazilian Marxist. I didn't watch the ContraPoints video. Basically, she tweeted about like the Cultural Revolution being like a bad part of the history of communism, but I think that's quite funny because like Maoists, Leninists, Trotskyists, and just general communist factions fucking hate each other. They also don't agree that Maoism is communism, so I think a lot of communists wouldn't consider Maoism and Mao's China like part of like the history of like the path to progress under communism or some shit. I don't think you're gonna get many Leninists taking responsibility for the Cultural Revolution or something. Yeah, Disney Pixar films, like for sure, in terms of the old ones especially. I mean, Yeah, they're all fairly unique, and obviously they're aimed at a younger demographic. I'm less cynical about Pixar because even though they try out something like Incredibles 2, which I wouldn't say is like, I wouldn't say anything is lazy, but like it's kind of, feels like a kind of like a just this kind of different spin on the first one. Well, but they also make like really unique individual films as well. So, oh my god, the Kavernacle is also a lib. Nope, I'm not. What do you want me to say? The Culture Revolution was good. Like, fucking teenagers running around China enforcing like a cult of personality around Mao. Is that like something that's good? The thing is about like people. This is what put me off the British Communist Party. Is like, why are they simping for China? I don't understand it. Like, you're putting someone like me off. I don't want to simp for like one of the world's biggest fucking superpowers. It's just like, yeah, communist movements for me are about like, you know, democracy for like workers and stuff, not not simping for fucking China. Um, Tanky hours. Yeah, I've been called a lib like a fair few times lately for not agreeing with Mao, which is strange. And also, what's funny about being called a lib often by communists and Marxists and stuff, is I'm literally one of the people who like rarely like dies on the hill of criticizing so-called tankies and stuff. Like I barely even fucking do it, and the only, and like I always say like I'm not a fucking idiot. Mao in the Civil War was like insane. Like as a guerrilla commander, like one of the best guerrilla commanders in history. Like to actually fucking win is crazy, despite the odds he was going through and stuff. I'm not someone who's like uncharitable, but I'm also someone who thinks Mao, like whether it was from his syphilis and stuff, he was fucking losing his mind when he was losing out power in the 60s. Like the Cultural Revolution is absolutely fucking insane. And people who try and defend that are ridiculous. But also, I'm not going to lump the Cultural Revolution in with communism. Like Maoism, as it's as a form of communism, is not even very similar to Leninism in the fact that China's conditions mean that the proletariat had to be made up of rural peasants. So Marx's own like theories didn't really apply there as much. So Mao had to adapt it for his own ends. So that's what frustrates me about hardcore like Marxist stuff. I'm not criticizing Marxism as an ideology of communism, but criticism of like Mao and Stalin in my mind is perfectly fine. And I'm a guy who likes Che Guevara and Ho Chi Minh, and then people trying to tell me like I'm a fucking liberal. It's just I had a 14-year-old Marxist Leninist in my Discord telling me I wasn't based enough. If that wants, and I also there was a guy who used to join our live stream like 2 years ago. He used to be a Pete Buttigieg supporter. 2 years later, he's coming in to my Discord as some hardcore Stalinist or Maoist, saying that transgender what was he saying? He's saying that transgender people don't exist. It's just like a bourgeoisie like hobby or some fucking shit, or bourgeoisie degeneracy or some crap. And I was like, what the fuck has gone wrong with this person? So I feel, and I think he was like 15 or something. So I think people in terms of like, I'm really not a hater on communism at all, or Marxism. I'm actually pretty sympathetic to it. But at the same time, like, if you're gonna come in my Discord chats or live stream chats calling me a liberal because I don't like the Cultural Revolution, I think you might want to like read up on the Cultural Revolution. I'm a guy who's like obviously done like history degree and politics degree. Like I don't not know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. But I'm also like, I say all the time the US is like the most destructive country on the planet. It has been for like the last 70 years. I've always said that consistently. People ask me what's worse, China and the US. I'll say the United States every single time. And people think I'm a lib. See, like Brazilian Marxists, it's pretty clear you're under the age of 18 because I say the Cultural Revolution is bad. You think I'm a liberal, despite me saying the US is the most evil country in the world, and I like Ho Chi Minh. So you heard it here first, guys. According to the representative of the whole of Brazilian Marxism, if you like Ho Chi Minh and Che Guevara and think the US is the most evil country on the planet, you're actually a liberal. You're a Western liberal. Because you don't like Mao's Cultural Revolution, which they literally were trying to enforce, telling a portrait of Mao about your day. Children were going around the country like shooting like old people for disrespecting the cult of Mao. Yeah, that's fucking yeah. If you don't like that, you're not a socialist at all. It was some sort of degenerate shit. Like he was basically saying transgender is like a myth made up by the bourgeoisie to divide the working class or some crap like that. Like this guy had gone insane since I last spoke to him. Yeah, I'll maintain that forever. Like US, like if China ever becomes the US, I'd happily say it was China. But you know, China is the most destructive. US is the most destructive country in the world. It also controls most of the levers of power, like IMF, World Bank, UN. Is so tied up in so many people's economies. Yeah, US by far has the most control. So what are people talking about? You got real yeah, they get banned real quick. I don't like. I try and make my Discord server like, if anyone starts saying like slurs or you know, if someone comes in and says like a slur, they get banned. If someone just starts pissing people off by being bad faith, they get banned. I mean, people think it should be for free speech, but like I prefer just having people I can talk to and can talk amongst themselves without like horrible people coming in. I've had weird people, like someone came in, you know, saying they're a liberal, arguing with me that Baptista and in Cuba was better than Fidel Castro, and the South Vietnamese government was better than the communists or something like that. Yeah, a bunch of people joined our Discord today, just like trolls. They all got banned. I don't know where the fuck they even come from though. Probably like Kiwi farms or some shit. Someone came to Discord to debate about Obama. Did I already talk about the Halo thing? I didn't actually get round to it. I just started ranting about Marvel movies. Nazi in the chat. See you later. Oh, sorry, I didn't see his first comment. Have you given your thoughts on cryptocurrency anywhere? I haven't really. I'm not going to probably do it today. Have I seen TJ's The Amazing Atheist response video to me? Okay, this is the last thing I'll address because I gotta go fucking just do some stuff before I go to bed. I gotta get up really early to go to the hospital anyway. So basically I made that video on The Amazing Atheist. Apparently like he live streamed the response to me. Someone sent it to me. I haven't watched it and I don't plan to watch it. Basically, in general, I don't watch people criticising and responding to my work, just because if I watch it, I'll get pissed off and then I'll have to make a video about it, which I just don't want that like sort of negativity in my content and stuff, in terms of like, I don't want to, I just don't want to talk about that stuff. But in terms of him specifically, he's obviously like an old YouTuber and he's put out so much work, right? Like I'm criticising his broad work, and it wasn't really meant to be like some sort of personal attack. Like, of course, I knew he would probably see it, because when I make videos, pretty much they always see it for some reason. I knew he'd probably see it, but it's not like, hello, amazing atheist, this video is for you. Please take my opinion seriously. I mean, he can take my opinion whichever way he wants. But at the end of the day, I criticise his work. I criticise like general stuff he'd been saying the last 2 years, and I've done that, right. You know, if I criticise someone on Twitter or stuff, I don't owe them in terms of, I don't think he wants me to reply to his stuff. He said what he wants as well, and that's totally fine. But I don't really want to drag this out in terms of like, well, he criticised what I said about him, and then I criticised that, and then he does it again. Yeah, I don't want to really do that. He's like this historic YouTuber in terms of he's been around for ages. So I criticise his body of work, and that's really all that really needs to be said about that, to be honest. Okay, thanks so much for the donation. I super appreciate that. That's really nice of you. Oh, you're going away now. Yeah, I'm probably going off soon as well. Adios, Cav, and everyone. No, thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you have a good rest of your week at work. Hope work's all right as well. But really appreciate the donation. As usual. Everyone, Katie's like funding my whole YouTube. Okay, sorry, people are saying. TJ watches a lot of YouTube and live streams. Oh, okay. Ava, I didn't ban you. Someone else probably banned you. I actually replied to your comment. Just because there's a lot of trolls, I think we're just banning loads of people at the moment. So I'm looking at it right now. Alright, sorry, one sec. Nothing bad lately. Okay, that's good. Yeah, okay, I am leaving in a sec. I just got to do some shit before I go to bed. Yeah, so the last thing is just like, yeah, like, I just don't think I need to respond to it. Someone was telling me like, oh, you've got to respond to it. I'm like, no. I've had like bigger creators, like Angry Joe responded to my video on him. I could have made a video on that. I didn't. Most people, when I make a video on them, watch it. Some people like say stuff about it, and also there's like right-wing channels that make like hours-long videos, like live streaming, watching my content. Again, if I replied to everything, it would drive me crazy. TJ mostly thought that you were just reiterating what he was saying in the clips, and was annoyed when you acted like he thought colour blindness was the solution. When you acted like he thought colour. The thing is, I think my criticisms of his views of racism were perfectly valid. Like, it wasn't just about the colour blindness. It's his general views on race. Like that slavery video he made is in 2019. He's getting mad that people are blaming white people for African slavery. I'm like, what the fuck's your problem? Did you get into the Halo Infinite flights? I don't know what that means. But apparently someone said he said I was ableist for saying that. Okay, so apparently, okay, tell me, this is what I'll end the stream on. Tell me what you guys think about this. Apparently someone said he said I was ableist because I criticised his lack of being able to identify people's different faces. Right? Apparently it's a condition where you it's very hard to tell faces apart. Right? In the video, he didn't specify he had this condition, if it's like a real like medical thing. And in the video, he also says, I can't tell black women apart, and I can't tell Asians apart. And he says, some white women as well. So that's what he said in the video. So I criticised him for saying, like, yeah, I think it's kind of bad you can't tell black women and Asian people apart. At no point in the video did he say, I have this condition which makes it really hard to tell different people apart. It's called this, and blah, 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 blah. So, like, apparently someone said he said I was ableist for criticising that. So even if it's just like a disability, I don't know if it's a disability or just some condition, he didn't specify he had it, and he literally really focused on black women and Asians. So, I mean, even if this is some condition, him focusing on like the racial aspects And he also didn't say he couldn't tell white men apart. So I think it was fair enough to criticise him. Even if I'm wrong, right? Even if I'm wrong and he can't tell anyone apart or whatever, it wasn't clear in the video that that was the case. It literally just sounded like he's saying, I can't tell black women apart. I can't tell Asians apart. So yeah, but also that, you know, if that's the bit he got hung up on, I also just criticised him generally for his views on race, not just this one. I thought this was pretty problematic. He also was like largely disputing the definition of racism being about like larger societal impacts rather than just being. He thinks racism is like you say something bad because someone has different coloured skin, and it's way too simplistic. Anyway, I think I'll end it there because I got to get up at like 8:15 and it's now 4 a.m. So atheism is important, but my anti-capitalism has largely replaced my passion for anti-theism, really. Political channels run by... Anyway, Amazing Atheist just seems like a bit of a douchebag anyway. Like, really, really aggressive. Yeah, I got to get up early. I got because if you guys notice, I'm not in my normal room. I'm in my... This is my girlfriend's office room. I'm staying at her house for the week because she had an operation like a couple of weeks ago and she needs looking after because she was living with her parents while she was recovering, and then they've gone on holiday, so I've been here like cooking and cleaning and stuff. But yeah, she's going to get the cast off tomorrow, hopefully. But they moved the appointment from 1 in the afternoon to 9, which is great. Because my sleeping schedule is obviously not on that frequency. But yeah, very annoying. Anyway, yeah, thanks so much everyone for tuning in the stream. Had a good one. Enjoyed dunking on Marvel films. Yeah, she's doing fine, Katie. Just a bit frustrated at being really immobile for weeks. But yeah, hopefully gets cast off tomorrow. A good boyfriend, nice. Yeah, I'm driving, Specky. I never ever get the train or bus. I drive everywhere. It's why I don't... It's pretty much why I stopped drinking. Like, I passed my test when I was 18, and I just prefer driving places, so I never drink, really. Yeah, thanks for the conversation, Ellie. I appreciated you joining in. Oh yeah, sorry, you joined our Discord. I think someone's asking you questions to prove that you're not one of the recent trolls. One second, let me just tell. Mouse is cool, Victor. No need to worry. Okay, I told one of the mods that you're fine. Yeah, okay, yeah, I saw your profile picture was the same, because literally we just got like 20 people joining, or something, like a large amount of all like far right trolls. So he just thought you were one of them. We'll shit on Marvel anytime. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. Hopefully stream on Thursday. I'm gonna make a video about New Zealand neo-Nazis who. I think they recently got busted, but in one of their manifestos, they talk about Jordan Peterson being like a great gateway. I made a lot of videos on that sort of shit, but I think just to reiterate, so I'm going to go back and do another one. But yeah, see you guys on Thursday, and yeah, new video tomorrow, hopefully, as well. All right, thanks so much for tuning in.